What if the parade that saved Thanksgiving wasn't born from joy, but from the death of a wilder, forgotten tradition? What if the polished, balloon-filled Macy's spectacle we know today began as a quiet takeover of New York's rowdiest children? Before we continue, please subscribe us to support. Before balloons floated above skyscrapers, before marching bands synchronized their steps, before millions tuned in on television, New York City's Thanksgiving belonged to chaos. And that chaos had a name: Ragamuffin Day. For decades, starting in the late 1800s, New York streets exploded each Thanksgiving morning into a noisy carnival of kids dressed in oversized rags, soot-covered faces, crooked hats, and scavenged costumes. They banged pots, rattled cans, sang off-key, and shouted a single phrase that echoed through all 5 boroughs. Anything for Thanksgiving? It was part trick-or-treating, part masquerade, part mischief. Children chased strangers while asking for coins or candy. Some even smeared flour on passersby. A tradition that newspapers joked made the city look like it had been hit by a blizzard before winter arrived. Police rarely intervened. Adults rolled their eyes. Kids reveled in it. The holiday was noisy, messy, and wonderfully democratic. Rich and poor children, Irish, Italian, Jewish, and newcomer immigrant kids alike, all joining one unruly parade. But by the 1920s, New York began changing. The Jazz Age demanded glamour. Fifth Avenue wanted refinement, not rags. The city's elite, including socialites like Dorothy Parker and the Algonquin set, complained loudly in editorials about the beggar children disrupting their holiday breakfasts. Newspapers published headlines like "Ragamuffins ruin Thanksgiving for respectable families." Educators insisted the tradition encouraged delinquency. The message was clear: New York wanted to trade mischief for modernity, and right on cue, enter Macy's. The Macys department store, already a titan of commerce, understood the 1920s appetite for spectacle better than anyone. Their executives, many of them immigrants who remembered European festivals, knew the power of pageantry, inspired by old-world carnivals from Germany and Italy. They proposed something bold for Thanksgiving 1924: a modern parade. A clean parade. A gran baraggi. A parade that would make the city forget Ragamuffin Day ever existed. Their first announcement teased something unlike anything New York had ever seen. And they weren't exaggerating. At 9 a.m., on November 27, 1924, crowds gathered along 34th Street expecting a modest event. Instead, they were greeted by elephants, camels, lions, bears, and monkeys, all borrowed from the Central Park Zoo. Yes, real elephants marched down Manhattan, their trunks swaying between department store windows and trolley lines. Behind them followed Macy's employees dressed in elaborate European-style costumes. Giant floats, decorated like fairy tale kingdoms, and marching bands that drowned out the city's usual honking and shouting. The internationally acclaimed clown Felix Adler, founder of the New York Clown Society, performed acrobatics that mesmerized children who were used to throwing flour, not watching circus tricks. And then, at the grand finale, arrived Santa Claus, perched atop a mountain-like float that made him appear more like a king than a kindly old man. He waved as he passed, then climbed onto the Macy's rooftop, where he opened the Christmas shopping season by unveiling the store's winter windows. Newspapers erupted with praise. "A parade for the civilized city," declared one article. Another wrote, "The Ragamuffins have at last been replaced by beauty." Suddenly, the public had a new Thanksgiving tradition, one that didn't involve begging children or chaotic pranks. The Macy's parade was clean, coordinated, commercial, and irresistible. Celebrities of the era, silent film stars like Clara Bow, radio personalities like Rudy Vallee, and vaudeville names such as Fanny Brice began attending in later years, boosting the parade's glamour factor. Hollywood even used the parade as a marketing backdrop, sending costumed characters and film mascots to win over the crowds. Meanwhile, Ragamuffin Day slipped into decline. Schools discouraged it. Neighborhoods banned it. The Great Depression dealt another blow. Suddenly, children begging, even in costume, didn't feel festive. By the 1940s, the tradition was nearly extinct, living only in fading photographs and the memories of elderly New Yorkers. But Macy's wasn't done rewriting holiday history. In 1927, they replaced live animals with giant balloon characters, crafted by Disney animator Tony Sarg, who also designed the parade's early puppets. These balloons were so massive that the first year, handlers accidentally let several float away over the Hudson River, a moment newspapers celebrated as a new kind of magic. By the early 1930s, The parade was a national event, and by when it was filmed for the movie Miracle on 34th Street, it officially cemented itself into American mythology. Millions of families who had never stepped foot in New York now felt like the Macys parade was theirs. But something else had happened, quietly and permanently. Macy's hadn't just started a tradition, it had buried another. Ragamuffin Day, once the beating heart of New York's immigrant childhood, was gone. Its noisy rebellion replaced with coordinated cheerfulness, its ragged costumes traded for brand-friendly floats, its neighborhood spontaneity erased by a corporate spectacle designed for shoppers and, eventually, television audiences. Some historians argue Macy's saved Thanksgiving from becoming irrelevant. Others say it sanitized the holiday, washing away the gritty, joyful chaos that made New York unique. A few surviving myths from Ragamuffin Day still surface: tales of children swapping identities with friends, legends of the flower ghosts, stories of candy ransoms, but mostly, the tradition exists only in dusty archives. And yet, every Thanksgiving, when Santa glides in at the end of the parade and cheers erupt across Manhattan, there's a ghostly echo beneath the brass bands. The faint memory of children in tattered outfits, banging pots, laughing wildly, asking strangers for a penny. Macy's brought beauty, order, and joy. But it also swept away something raw and real. The elephants may have marched for commerce, but they carried with them a piece of New York's soul.